Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. It has been a hot minute since your boy has done an in-depth analysis for a Fallout related trailer. Is it 2015 all of a sudden? This is wild. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to Fallout 76 Wastelanders. I haven't made that a secret. The launch trailer is now out, so I wanted to go ahead and comb through every single frame, every single detail, inform you guys, because I know a lot of people are very curious about Wastelanders, and this trailer has a little bit of everything. So if you're new, you can learn something. If you've been paying attention, you can also learn something, because there's been some really sweet reveals in here that Fallout fans have been asking for a while. So enough of me, let's go ahead and get into Wastelanders. Alright, we got ourselves a bit of a hold up here in frame 1, where Duchess, the owner of the bar, the Wayward, is being held at gunpoint by a raider. Now, this is the beginning of Wastelanders right here, and as someone who has played through the introductory section during a Bethesda preview event, this is also one of the first choices you can make, where as you arrive on the scene, you can choose to defuse this situation and try to avoid killing anybody, or you can absolutely just wipe the raider out and be done with it. Duchess is going to be a very important character when it comes to Fallout 76 Wastelanders. She sort of shepherds you into the settlers role, because as some of you may or may not know, you can choose between the settlers and the raiders. Furthermore, in the background, you may have seen this ghoul here. This is Mort. He's going to serve sort of as your tutorial guy. So conversations with him are going to be learning about building, utilizing resources in the wasteland, and so on. Now we are outside of the Wayward. We can tell this by the sign in the background. On the left, we have a Wastelander wearing the hunter's long coat, but more importantly is the weapon he is wielding. Bethesda's expanding the Gauss family of weapons, which I am so excited about as a diehard lover of the Gauss rifle in some of the older Fallout games. This is the Gauss shotgun, and I cannot wait to see this one in action. And we're going to see more Gauss weapons later on in this trailer. On the right, we have a Wastelander wielding what is the bow and arrow. We've seen this in action in the Bethesda Game Days panel at PAX East, but if you're new here, you've never seen anything Wastelanders related, they are adding these two weapons in. We now see these same two Wastelanders make their way to a place called Foundation. And no, it's not the makeup. Anyway, as I said earlier, that was a horrible joke. As I said earlier, two factions have made their way into the Appalachia, being the settlers as well as the raiders. We'll get into the raiders down the line, but Foundation is the home of the settlers, so it's pretty full of life. We can see people playing the banjo. We can see someone working on a grill with a blowtorch, because why not? We can see a guy with a clipboard doing business things. What I like here is that there is life, something that Fallout 76 was pretty devoid of. So while this looks like typical Fallout, I think that's a good thing. Now, this location here, for eagle-eyed Fallout fans, may look a bit familiar if you've been paying attention since the E3 2019 reveal trailer for Wastelanders. This house is the home of Daniel, which we got to see a bit of a conversation on during that E3 2019 trailer. Now, we don't know if Daniel, if at all, plays a significant role in Wastelanders. We just know that he is a settler who will give us quests. So considering it's an identifiable location and a person of interest, I did want to point that out. Now, I'm not sure about this location here in the terms of who's holding it. We just know based off what the trailer says, they are raiders, but I felt it was a good time to talk a bit about the Blood Eagles, who we saw on display during the Bethesda Game Days panel. During the Wastelanders storyline, you can make a decision. Do I want to go with the settlers, or do I want to go with the raiders? But this does not mean that the raiders will attack you on command constantly until you make a decision, like in previous Fallout games. That is where the Blood Eagles step in. They're sort of the universal bad raiders who are going to attack you no matter what. And I think it's more so just to justify putting in human NPCs that will attack you on the map for greater variety in combat, if you will. And as promised, we are now taking a look at where the raiders reside. Their home base of operation is called Crater, and what's really neat about Crater is that it was built upon the ruins of a space station called Valiant 1, and we could originally travel to this space station in Fallout 76, but what's really cool is now that it's been taken over, the location's been transformed, and I think it amends one of Fallout 76's bigger flaws. You see, I remember looking at this crashed space station in the Fallout 76 trailers before it came out and saying, damn, these locations look awesome, but obviously when we got our hands on the games, it was just some loot, some enemies. There was really no story tied to a lot of these locations. So to see these places develop now and have people in them and have stories in them, and really transforming the ruins of the past into a place to live in, which is what Fallout is about in one way, has me really excited. Leading the raiders is a woman named Meg. We don't know too much about Meg, but I couldn't help yet notice in the background that there are a bunch of creatures hanging on the walls, and I do wonder if we'll be able to partake in that decoration. I imagine we'll be able to do it for our own settlement, considering it's in the actual game itself, but still, I wonder if these will tie to quests that we can possibly get from raiders to hunt down some creatures so that they can hang their kills on their walls. Based off what I've read in comments, and in threads and on Twitter, this was the part where a lot of people were like, okay, please be good, and I totally understand why. So, combat is breaking out, and then this man on the right, without even power armor on, jumps up and starts using a jetpack. And this is a first for the Fallout franchise, to be able to use a jetpack without power armor. This is going to totally change Fallout 76 as a game. The increased mobility, the increased verticality, locations will have to accommodate for this. Bethesda will probably, I could totally see it, have to nerf this thing in some way, shape, or form, especially if they ever bring back that survival mode that they said they were going to after they finished Wastelanders, where you can essentially fight any player at any time if they're all flying around with jetpacks, because this is going to be the go-to loot, right? Like, you're going to need to have this. You're going to want to have this. This is crazy to have in a Fallout game. So Bethesda has to be very careful with balancing this and how it's used, but at the same time, it's incredibly exciting to see. I can't wait to get my hands on this. One thing we all do need to remember is that Fallout 76's Scorched are still a very viable threat to this wasteland. According to Bethesda, this is the lore reasoning, although we know it was something more technical. Part of the reason that there weren't any Wastelanders in the Appalachians is because everyone fled from this location due to the Scorched and this growing plague that threatened humans. Now, given the fact that the story for Wastelanders and what's happening here takes place 1 year after the opening of Vault 76, so you have already attempted to handle the Scorched Plague essentially, it's not, we'll say, as big of a threat, but now it's been minimized enough where we have survivors looking for what is a rumored treasure, something I talked about during my Fallout 76 Wastelanders preview event. In fact, the first 2 settlers you meet right outside of Vault 76 start talking to you about said treasure. But even this current trailer here that we're watching does mention that the Scorched Plague is still very much a threat to these Wastelanders now re-entering the Appalachia. So I'm wondering how that dynamic's going to work. Certain parts of the original main story of Fallout 76 are being overhauled. We actually read a preview from IGN stating that the Morgantown airport had NPCs start coming in after they had completed the main story mission there. What we're looking at here is Watauga Underground. Now, Bethesda actually dedicated an entire Inside the Vault article to this brand new dungeon coming to Fallout 76, and we have even a description of what it serves as. Watauga, the city of the future, envisions a bustling, walkable metropolis where the streets are clear of illegally parked automobiles, traffic, and hit-and-run accidents. The city is built on top of a massive series of automated parking garage systems, which allows citizens to drop off their cars and store them until they're needed again. The dozens of silos can store cars safe and secure, out of sight and out of mind. And you're actually able to explore these connected parking garages. And as we can see here, there's a ton of other screenshots embedded in this article. So it actually looks quite sizable, and it looks quite different from what we've seen in prior dungeons in 76. One subtle thing also worth noting that is within the screenshots from the Inside the Vault article and not the trailer is that we do see a Raider flag up inside here. So I wonder what this does suggest. Fallout 76 always had a chameleon armor set, but they never had what all of us really wanted, which was the Chinese stealth armor. And as we can see up on this little walkway, a character is crouched and they are cloaked, a sniper shot is fired, and then it shows a shot of this beautiful armor. I love the Chinese stealth armor, even though my first experience with it was from the not that great Operation Anchorage DLC. From a story perspective, I liked it, but in the terms of location and progression, wasn't a huge fan. But still, I love seeing that this is going to be here. Bethesda, more of this, more callbacks to things that made us fall in love with Fallout. Everything subtle from weapons and armor to quests. Please keep going, please. Now this bad boy right here, this lovely looking weapon was one that I saw a lot of people talking about as well. And as I promised in the beginning of this video, there are more Gauss weapons and this is it, the Gauss Minigun. And I love the idea of that, right? Like, as someone who loved the Gauss rifle, I never thought, what if they made a shotgun? What if they made a minigun? And now I can't imagine it any other way. So I love this expansion of the weapons. I'm very excited about this. We're also seeing this power armor that's been in a lot of Wastelanders trailers. Now, I did have to dig into the Fallout 76 wiki for this one, and I only have a name on it, but it is called the Secret Service power armor, and it was power armor, as you could tell by the name, used by the Secret Service in the pre-war. So I'm imagining we're going to learn more about the Secret Service, because as I dug further and further into that wiki, I saw a lot of references to it. So we're going to get into some pre-war stuff here with Wastelanders, and I'm very excited about that, because I think that combination of the old world and the new world can present a very interesting story for players. As for this location that they are firing away in, it doesn't look all that familiar to me, I'm going to be honest, and I couldn't find anything on it. As this trailer wraps up, I think Bethesda really wanted to put an emphasis on that treasure hunt, what this main story is all about, because we're in this building and all of a sudden an excavator comes up from the middle. Obviously they are looking for something and there's a reason they're digging this far into underground. Afterwards, we meet this character who's dressed quite nicely. We don't know his name, but he says he wants you to do something for him, and it brings you into what looks to be an arena in Fallout 76, something that even Fallout 4 did not have, and I find this so exciting. We see the floaters once again, which we had seen inside previous Bethesda Net articles. These are a new mutant that we will be taking on. Furthermore, we see the plasma caster in action once more. This was in the first Fallout 76 Wastelanders trailer as well. But my guess is that this nicely dressed gentleman is the owner of this arena, and he does in fact have connections to the raiders and more than likely has an investment in whatever this treasure is. He seems like a luxurious man compared to whoever else we bump into in the wasteland so far. And the reason I'm speculating that he may have some interest in this treasure is because we see a brief overview of multiple characters in a circle, two people in power armor likely being RMCs. Then we have the man in the suit, we have a super mutant with a minigun, okay, but we also see Meg in the group, who is, as I said earlier, the leader of the raiders. So there is a connection here between that arena, this man running it, and their investment in what is happening with this treasure. And perhaps this treasure may be hidden in a vault. As we can see here, we have both our Wastelanders staring down the entrance of a brand new vault called Vault 79. And I don't know how this didn't cross my mind. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but there are new vaults coming to Fallout 76, and that's also super exciting because the twisted experiments, the messed up stories, I can't wait to see what Bethesda has crafted with this one and how it ties into Wastelanders. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that does indeed wrap up the Fallout 76 Wastelanders New Beginning trailer. A fitting name if I do say so. A lot of people are ramping up their interest in this expansion because it looks like a lot of what we wanted to see from Fallout 76 in the past. I don't think it'll be a fix-all update, but seeing this trailer, I'm gonna be honest guys, as I broke it down frame by frame, there were a couple of times in between recordings I exclaimed with glee. Like, I was really happy with some of the changes and additions they're making. It felt like a genuine Fallout game. I don't know how else to word it, so I'm really pumped up. Granted, some of that is a little bit of nostalgia. I miss the days of just loving Fallout and talking Fallout, and I just hope that Wastelanders can live up to that vision that we all have. I don't want to overhype it. My expectations aren't super high, but I am excited as a Fallout fan, and I hope you are too. If you're not, or if you are, let me know why in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Also, there will be a link in the description down below to my podcast with my girlfriend. It's called BFGFAFK. I would appreciate you guys giving it a listen if you have some time to check it out. It's a really good show. Also, big thank you to all of the patrons who continue to support this content variety. I just want to say one more time and I'll stop it, but the CPM got slashed heavily on YouTube, so this form of support has been incredibly helpful during this time, which has been tough for all of us. So I appreciate you guys thinking of me, thinking of other creators, and we'll talk soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.